What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Marshall Time, episode 42, the month of July. So, for Hoops fans, you know what that means. Some good old Summer League ball. We got a couple that's already started up, the California League and the Salt Lake City Summer Ball League with the Sixers, Thunder, Grizzlies, and Jazz. Some really good ball going on. What's going on, bro?
What's up, bro? It's hot out here.
I know. We almost through those. I mean, it's crazy. It feels like summer is already sort of like flying by already. But we ain't in no rush though. We still want to watch some of these summer league games. We got the Olympics, of course. Team USA hooping it up. Some major news coming out of Las Vegas. Most of you probably already have seen the story now. Kawhi Leonard is withdrawing from Team USA for the Paris Olympics. Now, obviously, Kawhi has had his troubles physically with his knee. And so this is just a response. Apparently, there was some concern over how he's been looking lately from Team USA and the Clippers. And for me, it's kind of crazy because if you watch, it was a clip where they showed the guys arriving in Las Vegas and watching Kawhi walk. He even kind of looked like he had a limp. I'm like, that don't seem too good, right? And knowing knowing the issues that he's had over the years, this past season, and just the measures you would like to take to make sure that you're ready come regular season. This isn't really a surprise. It's just unfortunate because a lot of people don't realize, and a lot of people seem to forget when he's at his best, healthy, and at his peak. Kawhi was a top five player. I mean that championship run with the Raptors, Kawhi was one of the best basketball players I've seen. Like literally, I didn't see a weakness in his game. Defensively, we know what he was about, but offensively, so sound fundamentally. Nothing flashy, but he gets to his spots. He's getting the bucket whenever he wants to. It got to a point where anytime he puts up a shot, it's going in. As a Sixers fan, you know what that feels like because you saw the shot that ended the season that year in the playoffs. And so it's unfortunate. You know, there's been a lot of guys throughout the history of the league who have reached great heights or failed to reach great heights because of injuries. But Kawhi, we saw what his peak looked like. So unfortunately, he's had to deal with these things. But on the fortunate side of things, at least we got to see Kawhi at his best in San Antonio. And then at Toronto, I think Toronto Kawhi was his peak. But yeah, just your thoughts on that news about Kawhi.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when they said that he was playing for Team USA, I was kind of surprised because with somebody with his injury history, you wouldn't even expect him to be playing for Team USA. But once again, he's one of the best players in the league when healthy. So it's like, okay, of course they want to give him the invite, give him the opportunity. It looks like he tried to go. He couldn't, either something happened with the knee, is still not 100%. They don't, or maybe they don't want to damage it furthermore. I hope it's not nothing serious. It seems like there hasn't been any like serious reports about him re-injuring it. But I even said this to myself when he got hurt this year, during the playoff run. It might be time for Kawhi to retire soon. And anybody that knows me knows Kawhi is like my favorite player. He's been my favorite player ever since like the end of his Spurs in the beginning. That Toronto run. He's been my favorite individual player. So it hurts to see him, not be able to go, healthy, really showcase his talents. Because that run, like we said, that run was awesome, and I believe that he's capable of doing that again, or he was at a point. But there's also been reports that he has a degenerative knee issue to where his knee gets worse over time, and that was kind of the whole ordeal with the Spurs and the drama with the training staff and stuff like that. So knowing that and knowing he's only getting older, it might be time for him to retire soon, man. Like, because I don't want to see him keep going through this cycle of okay, he looks good, and then playoffs come, he gets hurt again. And last season, he played a lot of games. I think he played like 64, 65 regular season games. That was a lot of games for him last year, just for him to not even be able to play in the playoffs. It's like, bro, I would have rather you not played in the regular season. I would have rather seen you in the playoffs. You know what I mean? But I know the new CBA and its new rules that kind of incentivizes players to play during the regular season, but it's not worth it in the long run. So I hope whatever it is, man. I hope he can recover to the best of his ability, and I hope he stays healthy. But the track record shows that it's not looking good for him.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Not surprised at this news, and the news came out. Apparently, Derek White from the Celtics will be stepping up, and that was a rumor before. Even during the finals, news got out that Derek White could be a possible replacement because even then, it was mentioned or thought that Kawhi may not be able to make it through training camp and obviously heading out to the Olympics to compete. And so Derek White, so the Celtics now have three players on Team USA: Jason Tatum, Drew Holiday, and Derek White. A lot of conversation and commentary as far as why Derek White got the nod over Jaylen Brown. We need to go into certain things about Jaylen Brown and how it may not connect with Nike. There was a tweet that somebody revealed that he called out Nike before. We know why Kyrie Irving is not on the team. We know why Ja Morant's not on the team. It's politics at the end of the day. I do think that Derek White was on the select team before, so obviously having that on your resume, and listen, I'm not mad at it. At the end of the day, the main key guys that people want to see, obviously LeBron, Steph, KD, Ant, they're there. Derek White will be a utility guy to provide defense, a great connector for that team, but it's not going to come down to a Derek White, whoever they had to replace him. It wasn't going to come down to that anyway. It's going to come down to KD, LeBron, and Steph and Ant Man. You know what I mean? Got Devin Booker. Like, they'll be okay. Joel Embiid, Anthony Davis. Like, it'll be okay. To me, non-story. Congrats to Derek White. Not going to rain on your parade. It's a great honor, a great accomplishment for him. Got a championship. Just got the bag off his new extension. Started at the D2 level, so salute to him, man. I just love seeing those stories, man. So another great accomplishment for him. We'll speak about Kawhi next. We're going to start a series. You can call it State of the NBA. We have the summertime now, sort of the quote unquote silent period after the early free agency period. Got the draft that already passed up. Now we're in summer league. So after most of these moves have been made, there are still a lot of free agents. You look at the list, there are still some solid names, some good veteran pieces on the free agent list. But right now, the major moves have been made. We'll see what Utah does with Lauri Markkanen. That's still up in the air. Who knows what might happen with him? But it's safe to say the majority of these rosters, as far as at the top, are set in stone. And so we're going to break it down each show division by division, from the West Coast to the East Coast. And tonight, we're going to start off in the West Coast. And I picked the Pacific Division because, to me, looking at it from top to bottom, this is the division where we reflect on the past and salute and give flowers to an era of basketball, because I don't see any of these teams having a chance. Even any of these greats that we're about to talk about, I don't think they have a chance to win a championship this year or next year, depending on how things shake out for them individually, or whatever. The teams might make big moves. Who knows? I don't know. But to me, this is the division where, for this season, you got to reflect on what these greats have done, because to me, it's the end of an era. And so we're going to start out. This is how we're going to do it for this series. We're going to start out. We're going to go in order from number one to the last place team from the previous year. So the Clippers, they were in first place last year in the Pacific. They lost in the first round to the Mavs, who, of course, won the Western Conference. So what we'll do is, for each team, we'll go over who they added and who they lost, and then just an overview of the roster. Obviously, they lost Paul George. He's in Philly now. Mason Plumlee's with the Suns. Daniel Tice is with the Pelicans. He's with the Pelicans now. They added Derrick Jones Jr., Mo Bamba, Nicholas Batum is back, Chris Dunn, Kevin Porter Jr. They drafted Cam Christie in the second round. So you're looking at a roster of James Harden, Terrence Mann, Derrick Jones Jr., Kawhi Leonard, Ivica Zubac, Norman Powell, Amir Coffey, Nicholas Batum. Russell Westbrook opted into his player option. I'm not sure if he'll be traded at some point, so that's something to keep an eye on. You have Mo Bamba, Bones Highland, Kai Jones, and PJ Tucker. So, bro, I present to you the Los Angeles Clippers for 2024-25. Those are your guys. What's your thought process when talking about the Clippers this season?
Them hurting PG is gonna hurt them. Losing PG is gonna hurt them definitely. Because that's what their foundation was built on. It was built on bringing in Kawhi and PG, two-way wings, two stars in the league that still has some good basketball left in them. PG's on the Sixers now. Them bringing in Kevin Porter, I like that move. That's a good move for them. Derrick Jones and Batum coming back, Chris Dunn. I see what they're like. They're trying to get these long arm, lanky wings that can kind of play both sides of the ball, but in the end, they're a first round exit waiting to happen, most likely. Especially when you couple the injury concern with Kawhi and even Harden, and to a certain extent, um, I could see them definitely making the playoffs. Maybe they could still make it if they're healthy during the regular season because they have a good enough roster to get some wins to get them into the playoffs. But I don't see them going past the first round unless they get a favorable matchup.
Yeah, they have a roster where you gotta talk yourself into believing in it. Like like I can see where they're trying to get at with some of these guys they added defensively. A Derek Jones, a Chris Dunn, Nicholas Batum, solid pieces if your roster was championship ready, right? But on a roster like this, it seems like to me this was the best job they could have done without you lost Paul George. You're not getting a big name free agent, so you had to fill the roster up with some solid guys that can fit into a role, not trying to do too much, and not sort of shake up whatever James Harden and Kawhi Leonard have going offensively, right? But the thing is, the foundation for this franchise right now is so shaky because you have no room for error for Kawhi to get hurt. With Paul George being gone, you have no room for error for Kawhi being hurt. You have no error for James Harden being hurt or just having his ways where he sort of just shoots himself out of ball games, shoots teams out of ball games, right? We know how James Harden goes in the playoffs, right? And so for me, the question is who's that third guy? We always talk about that third guy, the third and fourth options on this team offensively. Who is it? If you had to pinpoint it, who is that third guy that you can count on to give me? If I need you to get 20 points tonight,
I mean,
I
Kevin Porter
mean
has showed that.
Norman Powell's a bucket. Would it be Norman Powell off the bench?
Yeah, or Kevin Porter has shown that in the past, but I don't know.
Kevin
It's
Porter,
a
I
toss up.
Kevin Porter got his own issues that he got to sort out. I don't even
Right.
know if I can count on him mentally to be locked in and engaged because he has a whole another situation going on. You know what I mean? And so I don't like this roster. And is Kawhi going to be healthy come March and April? That's another. So if Kawhi isn't healthy, we hope he is. Then what are you looking at? You know what I mean? So for me, I have a hard time saying they're a top six team in the West right now. I can see obviously playing with respect to Kawhi and James Harden, but I don't know. I mean, the top four right now in the West we can say is going to be in whatever order you want to put it: Denver, OKC, Dallas, Minnesota. Right? That's the standard as far as the four. To me, there's two open spots in that top six. I think Memphis is going to be a top six team this year. We'll talk about them later um, in another show. So for me, that leaves one spot open in the top six. So you got the Kings, Pelicans, Lakers, Clippers. You know what I mean? So do you say they're a play-in team or a top six team right now?
If I'm counting everything that's probably
You got
going to
the,
happen, play in.
you got the Suns too. I forgot about the Suns. Yeah,
I'll say play in.
play-in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. I think the Clippers are in a position where now you're going to a new arena. It's a lot of money, and I don't know what the future looks like for this team. They may be in a spot where they're going to just try to swing for the fences for the next big free agency, right? They have no other choice right now because you're not in a position where you're bad enough to get a high lottery pick. And if you are trash, guess what? Did you know the Thunder have a pick swap with them for next year from that original PG trade?
Still
They got a
paying for it.
2025 pick swap.
Still paying for it.
So conceivably, the Thunder could get a Cooper Flag, an Ace Bailey. They could get one of these guys in next year's draft class if the Clippers are horrible next year. Which, depending on Kawhi's health this season could go off the rails because I'm sorry. I mean, Derek Jones, a great player, role player. Nicholas Batum, it's not getting it done. It's just not. Um, and so for this year, we can hope that Kawhi is healthy and James Harden can put it together and they can remind people of their greatness. But even then, to me, against these younger teams, more dynamic teams, more athletic, more explosive offensively, I just think they just have a hard ceiling that I just don't see them breaking through. The next team, the Suns, to finish in second place, got swept by the Wolves in the first round. New coach is the big story for them. Mike Budenholzer takes over for Frank Vogel. Notable losses: Eric Gordon, he's in Philly. Drew Eubanks is with the Jazz. They added Monte Morris, Mason Plumlee, and they drafted a guy I really like out of Virginia, Ryan Dunn, defensively. I think he's going to be a really good player in the league. So your roster is looking like Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Jusuf Nurkic, Grayson Allen, Bo, Royce O'Neal, Damian Lee, Nasir Little, and then Monte Morris, Mason Plumlee, and Ryan Dunn. Knowing that they got swept in the first round last year, new head coach, no notable changes really with the roster. How you feeling the Suns this year?
Well, I'm still more confident in them than the Clippers. I do think they'll be a playoff team. I could see them easily being top six. Um, but I'm still not sold on the bench. I do like the Ryan Dunn addition, but they have to find a way to get more out of Bradley Beal. I think that's the biggest challenge for Budenholzer right now because we know Bradley Beal, he's used to being the number one option, and that's where he's most effective at. Now he's more so the third option. Okay, how can we get the most out of you, right? They can't make him like a spot up. He still has to, he can play off ball, yes, but we still want to see Bradley Beal be able to get his own bucket. We still want to see him in those situations. And I know he's had some injury history, but the reality is he's getting paid like a top 10 player. He's getting top 10 player money, right? So we need some type of production out of him. If I'm the Suns and that's my organization, I know Book is a scorer and they have him playing the one, but he's a scorer first. So I would have loved to see them get like more of a traditional point guard in there just to help them out. And I don't know, maybe you stagger it to where Bradley Beal can get more minutes with the bench unit and he can kind of command that unit because they need help off of the bench. Um, I do want to see them play Bobo more. I think at this point they have nothing to lose. Like you have to just give him a chance. Like he can't be worse than Drew Eubanks. He can't be. Eubanks is still on there, right? He's still on the team, or
Oh
did he
no, he's
leave?
with the Jazz now.
So who's their backup center now?
It's Bol would have to. I mean, they
Okay,
picked Mason Plumlee, so I think I can see Mason Plumlee getting more
yeah,
minutes than
Mason Plumlee is a
wise.
solid backup, but it's still like, bro, give Bobo some minutes. Like, let's see what he can do. Let's see if he can live up to the hype. Like, especially off of that bench. Who else are you going to really trust off of that bench? Like, so they have some question marks too, but I think the greatness of KD and Booker as a duo can definitely get them through the regular season. But as far as them being championship contenders, they have a lot of things to work out.
Once again, Kevin Durant, Hall of Famer, one of the best players of all time, got to reflect on his greatness this year because they're not winning a championship. Devin Booker, great. Bradley Beal, great at his peak in Washington. But it's over for Bill as far as what he was, right? And as you mentioned, he has to find out who he is in this new stage in his career. Top to bottom, I don't like this roster. The point guard situation still is what it is, that it hasn't changed from last year. And so for me, I look at it like this: okay, we know what a Devin Booker is going to give you. We know what a KD is still going to give you at this point in his career. Bradley Bill, I don't think he understands or he has an idea of how to transition into this next stage of his career. And maybe a coach Budenholzer will be able to get that out of him and help him with that. But for me, talking about a championship team and a championship contender, once again, when talking about the Clippers, besides Kawhi and Harden, you have no room for error on this roster. Kevin Durant and Book have no room for error. They got to be engaged and locked in every single game, playoff time especially, because you can't rely on a Bradley Bill to have one of those big nights again, right? Like I don't know. And so outside of that, Grayson Allen, like solid role player, but once again, offensively, outside of offensively, is Grayson Allen really a high impact player for the Suns, right? So who are the high impact role players on this team? And that's what I have a question on, right? Like the teams that we mentioned at the top four, I can see a Aaron Gordon, I can see a Michael Porter Jr., I can see a Derek Lively developing and coming to his own, right? For Minnesota, McDaniels, I can see like I see certain guys coming up into their own and developing into their roles. For Phoenix, I don't know what their identity is outside of KD and Book. Like going off offensively, like where's the foundation on this team? And so, Coach, Mike Budenholzer has his work cut out for him. I think they can be a top six team. I mean, strictly off of having KD, Book, and Bradley Beal, still a talented trio. But a 7 game series, we saw what happened against Minnesota. What changes a year from a year? Minnesota is younger. Oh, and they got better. They're more experienced. Phoenix is older. You got a new coach, but is that making an impact against a Minnesota or a Denver or a Dallas or OKC? Those teams are going to get better too, especially Dallas and OKC. And so for me, top six, I can say is their ceiling. Would it shock me if they slid into that 8-7 spot? No. But that's just how it speaks to how dangerous this Western Conference is and how you really have to be on point with your identity, your chemistry, and just your overall talent and versatility. Like, where's the versatility with this roster as far as those wings who could do multiple things? Those guys that can really, if they're not scoring, but they can still have an impact in some way. They're a great passer. They can defend. Like, I just don't. Royce O'Neal, Damian Lee, Monty Morris. Like, yeah, it's just I don't know. It's not getting it done. We continue on with those good old Lakers. Finished third last year, of course, lost to Denver in the first round. Their big story as well, just like Phoenix, was a new coach. They hired JJ Redick. Losses, Torian Prince is now with the Bucks. Spencer Dinwiddie is still a free agent. We'll see what happens with that. And then, of course, in the draft, they added Dalton Connect and Bronny James. So your roster is looking like D'Angelo Russell, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, Gabe Vincent, Jared Vanderbilt, Jackson Hayes, and then Connect and Bronny. Pretty much they ran it back with a new head coach in JJ Redick and two rookies. They lost in the first round last year. I got my thoughts. How you feeling about the Lakers?
Uh, they made playing. They made the play in last year, right? And then they ended up making the playoffs.
Lost to Denver in the first round.
Yeah, so I can see them going to the play in. There'll be another. It's another play in season for them. They didn't make any drastic changes. Like, yes, JJ Redick, he's going to come in, but we have to see what happens with that. But even with him coaching, I don't see. People say you can say what you want about Darvin Ham. I'm not here to defend him. I'm not here to approve of him. I just don't think it goes deeper than him. If you ask me, I look at Anthony Davis a lot when it comes to this. What happens with the Lakers? Because I feel as though if he stayed on the trajectory he was on when they won in the bubble, they should be a playoff team every year, no doubt. Because AD, his trajectory was top 10. Well, he should really realistically top five. He should be a top five player by now. And he's kind of just stayed where he's at. He's actually, it seems like he's not as hungry as he once was. He's, you know what I mean? So, with that being said, I don't see how I can sit here and just put them in the playoffs because they added what? They added a new coach and some rookies.
Yeah.
Bron's getting older. Bron still plays at an elite level, don't get me wrong, but he's only getting older. Right? AD was been supposed to take that load off of him. He's supposed to been take the weight off of his shoulders. And when I watch the Lakers, I still have to see Bron have to try to carry it night in and night out. Not to say that Anthony Davis doesn't play good. He plays good, but he's not playing up to what my standard and my expectations. Remember, I watched AD at Kentucky be a
Mm-hmm.
beast. I watched him come in with the Pelicans, carrying that team to the playoffs when, before they had ample pieces around them. So to me, it's an AD thing. If AD comes out and dominates how we know he should and can, they could be a playoff team, no doubt. But until then, I don't. And they still got D'Lo. D'Lo is, and I like D'Lo's game, but his problem is he's not consistent. I've always liked D'Lo's game, but he's not consistent at all. Um, I still don't think they have enough shooting on the team. So yeah, I'm still going with playing team with them. And then the thing about the Lakers is it's so much drama around them right now because you have to worry about how is JJ Redick going to look. The minute they start losing, you know the media is coming for his neck, right? Then you got the whole Bronny situation. What are they doing with that? Is he going to get minutes in the Lakers rotation, or is he really going to be on the G League? Is Brian really going to? Is Brian going to say, all right, you know what? He's really not ready. He can play in the G League, or is he going to try to hold it against him and say, nah, he needs to be on the roster with me, getting minutes? Like, what's going to? I don't know. It's too many question marks, and they didn't make any necessary improvements for me to say, yeah, they're a playoff team, no doubt. So just off of the fact they went playing last year, I'm gonna put them back into playing this year.
Yeah, everything you said is on point for me. Listen, I've been saying it for the last couple years since they won the championship a few years ago. The Lakers have been unserious to me because you can almost predict how a Lakers game is going to go. Like you know what the vibes are. Like they're a great front running team. When things are going well, LeBron's in his bag, AD is dominating, D'Lo is hitting shots. Like salute, in the words of Darvin Ham, right? But there are moments where you notice, okay, they're gonna give up this lead. We saw it against Denver. Like you knew how that series was gonna go. Like you just knew it. Like everybody knew what was going to happen. It was slowly developing, right? And so the Lakers, they have a tendency to just have these mental lapses. And this is why they lose to trash teams in December and November. That's the reason why you're in the play in the first place, because you don't have the mental focus or the consistency to play at a high level. They just don't. It's not about LeBron or AD. Yes, these are great players, but outside of that, can you count on a D'Lo to be consistent? Can you count on Austin Reeves to be consistent? He's a liability defensively, by the way. That's that's food for players out there. They are attacking him, right? Rui Hachimura is what he is. I know Lakers fans keep talking about his potential and what he could be. Newsflash, at a certain point, a player is who he is. Rui is who he is. Skilled player, but there's what you see is what you get. He's not getting any better. He's not as far as an individual player. Maybe JJ can put him in different spots to be more successful. We'll see. I'm not expecting any all-star jump for Rui. And then this rotation's nasty. Gabe Vincent, Jared Vanderbilt, and Jackson Hayes. Like, who else do they have? I love Dalton Connect. I love him at Tennessee. He's a rookie, so we'll see what he does. Bronny James, could he get playing time this year? I mean, we know he's going to see the floor. The Lakers got to make history this year. To me, this year and the next year are about history for the Lakers. The first father-son combination to play in the game, right? You know the LeBron documentaries are already started rolling. The cameras are already rolling for the docs, multiple docs, and selling seats, selling new Bronny James jerseys. Like they struck out. They're always in the running for all these free agents, but they keep striking out. Klay Thompson, DeMar DeRozan, Chris Paul. Like go down the list. They're always in the running for one of these players. You see what happened this offseason? Check, check, check. Nope, crossing them off. You got nobody. And so you were a playing team last year. You're pretty much the same team this year with a new head coach who hasn't coached in the NBA, not even as an assistant. Added two rookies. Yeah, you're a playing team to me. And if you do make the playoffs, sorry, I don't know. Like who? Once again, it goes down to taking the load off of your top two guys. So after LeBron and AD, who is the bona fide number three guy? Is it Austin Reeves or is it D'Lo? Supposedly it's supposed to be Austin Reeves, right? Like that was the guy they wanted to be a part of the quote unquote big three, right?
Yep.
I just don't see him as that type of guy though. I think he's a really good player, but is he a bona fide number three on a championship contending team right now? I just don't see it. I don't see it. Once again, Lakers reflect on what LeBron's done. Another great player. Enjoy what he's doing. Enjoy Kawhi. Enjoy KD. Enjoy LeBron because they've given us great moments and they continue to do so. Enjoy these moments because their careers will be almost over soon and we'll be having to reflect on what they've done. And so just take in what LeBron's doing at this point in his career. That's what when you watch the Lakers, don't take them serious as like a competent organization because they're not. Rob Palinki, I don't know what you're doing, but that's a whole nother conversation. So we're just going to take in LeBron's greatness and what he's done and the history that him and his son are going to make because that's what this season's all about for the Lakers. Moving on to a more respectable NBA team, I think, which is crazy to say now, but the Kings. So they beat the Warriors in the play-in last year, and then they lost to the Pelicans. Obviously, the big news in the NBA recently was they added DeMar DeRozan in a trade. They also drafted Devin Carter. They picked up Jalen McDaniels in a trade earlier this summer. They traded Davion Mitchell to the Raptors. They also lost Chris Duarte. He's with the Bulls, and Harrison Barnes is with the Spurs. They were both a part of that three-team deal that brought DeMar DeRozan to the Kings. And so your offensively minded roster is looking like De'Aaron Fox, DeMar DeRozan, Keegan Murray, Domantas Sabonis, Trey Lyles, Alex Len, Malik Monk, Kevin Huerter, Keon Ellis, and their rookie from last year, Kobe Jones. How about those Sacramento Kings?
I like the DeMar addition. I feel like this is the type of team he needed to go to, but their problem with me is still going to be defense. That's still their problem. Could they make a return to the playing playoff territory? Yeah, because they have a lot of talent on that squad, and I was surprised they didn't make it back. Because, like I said last episode, the year before when they had that series with the Warriors, we were like, "Oh snap, they're gonna be back for sure." But as we see in the West, especially, it doesn't always go that way. But they had it. I mean, they had a decent offseason. They made some cool additions. Sabonis played at a high level this year. De'Aaron Fox still did. They just need even Malik Monk played at a high level. Like they had guys had a good season with them, but they have to really hone in on defense. And I know during the regular season, I know night in and night out, defense isn't the sexy thing that everybody's looking for. But the reality is, a team like that, they have to. We saw a team like the Pacers. They play a similar style of offense, right? They like to get out and run, high pace, get up a lot of threes. And the Kings, you could argue that they have more talent than them on paper. You could argue that, but one thing is the Pacers, they play in the East, and they have some guys that can defend better than the Kings. You know what I mean? So I think if they hone in on defense, they have a shot to make the playoffs. Are they contenders? No. But it's Sacramento at the end of the day. Like, free agents aren't really coming there. No big names. I mean, they got DeMar. That's cool. But other than that, it's just the Kings. They've been poverty all my life except for early 2000s when I was a toddler. Other than that, hey, they could make it back. They'll be back in the mix, playing at least. I think
They're the Kings, but I would say they're probably the best watch. They're a better watch than the Lakers to me. They're a better watch than the Clippers to me. With respect to Kawhi and Harden, with respect to LeBron and AD, just as an overall team, I like the overall roster and what they bring to the table, right? Offensively, De'Aaron Fox is one of the best fourth quarter players in the league. Like when it's fourth quarter, you give him the ball and clear out. Like he goes to work. And DeMar DeRozan, we know what he does. Sabonis had a great year. Malik Monk, one of the best players, one of the best explosive scorers, like one of the best. You put him off the bench, six man, like he's like that, right? And so for me, the Kings obviously defensively is going to be a struggle. I think Keon Ellis has opened some eyes up. He can provide some defensive intensity at least on his part, right? But as an overall team and unit, these guys just aren't built. They don't have that mindset to play defense, right? So as a team, they're going to suffer with that. In the regular season, I feel like they have the offensive firepower to sneak some wins out in November and December, right? Especially against some teams that may have some injury issues or some younger teams that are struggling, right? And some teams that they just are better than. I feel like they can outscore and out talent a few teams throughout the season to where they can find themselves in a spot where they're fighting for maybe that 6, 7, 8 spot, right? And so I think at worst they are a play-in team. I don't see a world where they're not at least in the play-in, right? But if it hits, can they be a number 6 team in the Western Conference? I mean, it wouldn't. To me, that's their ceiling, number 6 in the West. Like it wouldn't shock me because I feel like that the top four is the top four, but I think those two spots that are open, I still think no team has really proven itself to where you can say, okay, that's that. I think Memphis is going to be in top six. So for me, it's one spot open. So it's the Pelicans, the Warriors, the Lakers, the Suns, the Kings. Can we confidently say one of those teams is like, okay, that's the sixth best team in the West? I can't right now. I can't see it. And so for me, kudos to the Kings for being at a point where at least they are a respectable team, a respectable roster, developing a guy like a De'Aaron Fox, right? Bringing in a Sabonis, bringing in a DeMar DeRozan, having a Malik Monk. And so this isn't a trash Kings team, right? This is a solid team. They have a great coach in Mike Brown. And so to me, the Kings and their fans appreciate what you have now because it was dark. It was dark for a while. You made the playoffs for the first time, right? A couple years ago. It was a long time coming, right? And so um, just kudos to that team, to that organization, putting moves together. They're trying, right? Like at least getting a DeMar DeRozan, they didn't get worse. If anything, they got better. You lose a Harrison Barnes, but you bring in a DeMar DeRozan offensively, you have a stronger reinforcement. And so for a team that was a playing team, all you can do is ask them to try to get better. And that's what they did in my eyes. And so I'm not mad at the Kings for this year. I think I'm excited to see what they can do with a DeRozan and De'Aaron Fox. I think that could be exciting offensively. We'll see how it works out. Now, the last place team in the Pacific who lost to the Kings in the play-in. A lot to talk about. Dario Saric is with the Nuggets. They added Buddy Hield, Anthony Melton, two former Sixers, Kyle Anderson, and Reese Beekman was an undrafted rookie out of Virginia defensively. I really like what he could bring. So your roster is Steph Curry, Jonathan Kuminga, Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green, Brandon Podziemski, Trace Jackson Davis, Moses Moody, Buddy Hield, Kyle Anderson, Anthony Melton, Gary Payton II, and the legend himself, Kevon Looney. How you feeling about the dynasty that was Golden State?
I'm not feeling it. I'm not. They
Kyle
need
Anderson ain't doing it. He ain't moving the needle.
nah. And I actually like. It's funny. I like Kyle Anderson as
Oh,
a player. I like Kyle Anderson as a player. Like I like what he does on the
he's
court,
cool.
but it's just not. They're not making the playoffs. To me, they didn't get better. And people can say what they want about Clay. You know, he's not what he once was. But just it's the duo of him and Steph together, like that threat that Clay might get hot. We can't just leave him playing. We can't leave him wide open. Like
Mhm.
as a defense, that's in your mind. As a player, that's in your mind because you know who Clay is. But I'm not sold on anything. They need to go get another star, bro. It's that simple. Because at this point, their only hope is if Kuminga really has a breakout year. And I'm not saying he can't, but am I betting on that? No. Other than that, they didn't get better to me. They didn't get better. I know Podesminski. I know he showed some flashes last year, but do I have him living up to what Clay was? No. You talk about them bringing in Buddy Hill. Buddy Hill's been on several different teams for a reason, right? Like he's a shooter, but that's it. And it's going to be cool to see him in that Warriors offense, yeah, but he's not. He's too one dimensional. Um, this yeah, the way their team turned out over the past few years with all the drama, and then we gotta acknowledge that Draymond is at the head of all of this with the KD situation, the Jordan Poole situation. It's just been downhill since. At least they got another ring, without KD. They have that to hang their hat on, but I don't know what the direction is for this team because you have a player that's still at the top of his game and stuff with a whole bunch of younger players and players that are solidified in their role in this league. So, what is the direction? Like, you can't just flat out say, yeah, we're going to tank. You have Stephen Curry on your team, but at the same time, they're not contenders. They're really in that no man's land, and I don't see them making the playoffs. Um, I'm not feeling the Warriors. They have to make some more moves. They have to get somebody somehow, some way. I know they were talking about Lauri Markkinen. It would have been cool if they could have got DeJounte, somebody. They just need to get somebody that's another good player in this league, try to help them at least make the playoffs.
Once again, salute to Steph Curry and the Warriors and what they've done. Steph Curry is one of the all-time greats, one of our living legends of the game. Impacted the game. His impact with the younger players coming up, you see it change the game with his style of play. It's over for the Warriors. What they tried to do was they tried to compete while still developing young talent. And that talent didn't develop like how they wanted to. Like a James Wiseman didn't pan out. We're still waiting on Jonathan Kuminga. Jonathan Kuminga was a name I was talking about as far as needing to make a jump last year, and it just didn't happen. And so at what point are we going to say that jump just isn't going to happen for Kuminga, right? I haven't given up just yet. I still think there's something there. For me, a jump for Jonathan Kuminga is being a 20-point scorer each night consistently. And it's not just a hope. Like he has to just for this team to have a chance because we know what Steph's going to give you. Andrew Wiggins, look, he was out of it last year. What is Andrew Wiggins going to look like this coming season, right? Brandon Podziemski, promising young player. I don't see him as like a explosive type of scorer in that backcourt. I see him as a solid connecting type of piece, right? And so Buddy Hield, Kyle Anderson, DeAnthony Melton, these are guys that you add if you're ready to compete and win right now. I get it for the Warriors. You got Steph, you got Draymond, so you're still trying to compete, so you have to add these veteran pieces. But, yeah, outside of Steph giving you 25 and 30 a night, 40 when he's going off, like, who is the reliable option after that? Who are the reliable playmakers? Obviously, Draymond Green is out there. We know what he's about, what he does, but Kuminga, Moses Moody, and Pods and Trayce Jackson Davis, I really like their games as young players, but they're still learning. They're still growing. But none of those guys have proven to be franchise cornerstones yet. Like, the Thunder are young, but they have proven franchise cornerstones. They have an SGA. They have a Jalen Williams. Minnesota's young, but they have Ant-Man. Dallas, they have Luka. Like, the young teams that are competing for championships in the West, they have proven franchise cornerstones, guys that are all-stars and guys that are playing in the Olympics, playing for their countries. You know what I mean? Like, the Warriors don't have that out of their young guys. And so for Jonathan Kuminga, if he breaks out this year, it's going to do wonders for himself, but also for this franchise. So for the Warriors this year, if I'm watching the Warriors, appreciating Steph Curry and his greatness that we're still able to witness, but also I'm watching for Jonathan Kuminga because he has to have the mindset of Clay's gone. We brought in these nice, solid veterans, but I got to be number two. Jordan Poole got traded. Like, I have to be that guy. Can he be that guy? The tools are there, but it's one thing from having the tools, but it's also another thing of actually putting it all together under the bright lights when there are actually expectations. And now, with Clay being gone, you're sort of forced to play up in a role, right? Like, you can't hide behind, oh, I'm not the number two option. I'm not the three option. Like, I'm behind Wiggs. Like, even Wiggins, I think, has to take a spot down for Kuminga. I think Kuminga has to be the one. He has to be. Because if not, yeah, the Warriors are wasting Steph's time. Like, what are you doing? If you're not going to compete for a championship when Steph Curry is still playing at a high level, either you're okay with just a farewell tour for Golden State, and Steph might be okay with that, or you got to figure out how do we reroute Steph to give him a chance to compete. I know you don't want to do that. You would love to see him play for Golden State for his entire career. That's a rare thing that happens, but Golden State got to figure it out. And they finished ninth last year.
I think 10th. It might have been 10th.
Yeah, they were 10th because it was Lakers, Pelicans, Kings, and Warriors.
That's rough. And then you got to account for the teams that's coming back, like the Grizzlies. We talked about the Kings getting better. It's not looking good for them.
Yeah, I'm looking at the standings last year. Who knows? Houston might just be better just from being a year older,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like maybe Reed Shepard is really like that in the NBA. You know what I mean? Like, um, I already said Memphis to me is going to be a top six team. So yeah, you got to think the Thunder were number. This is the order. It was the Thunder, the Nuggets, the T Wolves, the Clippers, Mavericks, Suns. Then you had the Lakers, Pelicans, Kings, Warriors. If I add Memphis to that top 10, a team is coming out, right?
right.
Like who is going to be that team? More than likely. If I
Probably.
had to pick right now, it would be the Warriors.
Yeah.
Like at least the Suns have a KD, a book. Like they have two guys that I can count on. Give me a bucket, right? So for the Warriors, it's tough that you hate to say it because you respect Steph's greatness and what they've done, him and Draymond, but it's like reality is reality at this point. The Western Conference is tough. These teams are younger and they're getting better. They're more dynamic. They have vision. They have an identity. They have a solid foundation. I don't see what the upside is. And I'm going to tell you right now, the Spurs are going to be better.
Yeah.
Just off the strength of Wemby being older, getting stronger, getting used to the. We saw what he did this year with guys that couldn't pass him the ball. Yes, Chris Paul now, who I know is older, but Chris Paul is still Chris Paul. He's going to give you a dime. That's
The
an easy target for him.
funny thing is, we talk about them in the West. Even in the East, this Warriors team might not make the playoffs because the Heat were the eighth seed last year, bro. Like
That's what I'm
they're not better than
saying.
the Heat.
It's it's a
So
tough,
I don't know.
tough situation right now. Like
This
Houston
is
could, like I said,
not a good basketball team right now. They're not.
it's not a good basketball team, and to me, this Pacific Division is nasty right now. Like because the strength of the Western Conference, obviously, it's it's well, the Northwest has OKC, Denver, and Minnesota straight up. So that's three teams right there. And then the Southwest has Dallas, New Orleans, Houston, Memphis. The Southwest is a beast. Dallas, New Orleans, Houston, Memphis, San Antonio. That could be a beast for some. That's going to be crazy.
It's rough.
Um, to me, the Pacific Division is getting older. Is lacking dynamic talent outside of the names that we've gotten used to, but those are older players. I don't think the Pacific Division is full of. The problem with these teams that we talked about, they're not complete, right? Either they're top heavy, they don't have a point guard, too much offense, no defense. They're just not complete. That's what these teams, the teams in the Pacific, it's the incomplete division. That's what I'm realizing now. These teams aren't complete.
Yeah, not at
And
all.
if you had to pick a winner in this division, who would you say right now between the Clippers, Suns, Kings, Warriors, Lakers?
Suns,
Suns. And
Suns.
that's just off the strength of KD and Booker.
Yeah, and that's not a confident. You heard the way I said it. It's not a confident. It's just Suns. Like
You know
that's
what's
all I
funny?
can say.
My initial thought went to the Kings just because regular season they might get some off, right?
Right.
Um I mean the Suns were 49 and 33 last year. The Kings were 46 and 36. So it's like it's not that big of a difference. And I think the Kings got better by adding DeRozan. It didn't add to their defense, obviously, but I still
They
think they got
got
better.
better. Yeah, they got
Yeah.
better.
Um. Yeah. I don't. Yeah. Phoenix. I can see Phoenix winning it. I'm just gonna say Sacramento. Why not? Whatever.
Hey, if
But
they
does it?
got
It doesn't. It doesn't even matter though because whoever makes that sixth, seventh, eighth spot, bye bye.
yeah.
We'll talk about those teams in our next shows coming up. But yeah, the Pacific Division. What we learned is these are incomplete teams. Before we go, Summer League has popped off. Anything standing out to you right now? What are some quick notes before we say goodbye to the folks?
Well, for sure, Jared McCain, man, he's balling. He looks like he
Yeah,
look like he belongs like he's been in the league. You know how you see the second year players in the summer league and they're killing. He
yeah.
looks like one of them. Like everything looks sharp, shooting good. He's playing D. Of course, the Boma, he looks like a high energy player that we could use. Edie was impressive in his first game. He was impressive in his first game for sure. Um, who else was it? Oh, Castle. Stephon Castle looks good too.
My guy.
Yeah, Stephon Castle looks good. You know, it's a lot of good talent out there. You know, they're showcasing their skills. I saw Jared Dudley say something that stuck with me. It was like a lot of guys are going to come out here and try to score 20 and 25, but the thing is, a lot of these guys don't end up on a roster. The guys that end up are the guys that are going to be good role players for the team that they're playing for. So that's a big thing. Oh, Khalil Ware, he's been the that first game he had, and I said it. I said OKC needs to draft him. They might have dropped the ball on him, bro. They might have dropped the ball on him. Khalil Ware is a monster. Like I like his game a lot. I think those are the few players that impressed me early on.
And one thing I said, you're a great shooter. I think you talk about. I saw the creativity and a nice highlight. Love that. Just love the energy that he brings out there with the when he has the ball. And so I think the Sixers need more of that. We have Tyrese Maxey, obviously, but McCain, he's a rookie, so we'll see what he does as far as regular season and how the rotation looks like. But him and Bona, I'm excited to see what they do. Bona's just a presence out there. Like he's a physical presence. He's running the floor, athletic, just physical. I just love a big man that, even though you may not be the most talented, at least be active out there, at least hustle. And that's what you want to see from a young big guy who may not be the most skill, right? Ricky Council doing his thing. Love to see the confidence growing. He can have a huge off season to be a part of this rotation. Salute to the Grizzlies rookies. You mentioned Edie. How about Cam Spencer though?
Yeah, he looks
From
great.
UConn. Man, it's crazy watching him during the regular season because I watched a lot of UConn and Big East basketball. Being on the East Coast, we get a lot of the Big East games, and so seeing him just catch my eye as sort of like this really good college player. But a lot of times you don't see a lot of those type of guys. He's not the tallest, he's not the most athletic, doesn't really do anything great, but he's a really, really good shooter. And so to see the Grizzlies see that vision and give a chance with him with a second round pick, and he's doing his thing in the summer league, man. Like he could find himself being like a really good specialty player with the Grizzlies. Edie, he has a clear role with Memphis. The way he can set screens and just be a presence down low. Jalen Wells had a good game against the Sixers the other night. He had the game winner, I think. And so salute to the other UConn kids, Castle. So I'm excited. Then you still have the Vegas Summer League that starts up this weekend, I believe.
Yeah, I've been
So
wondering where the rest of these guys at. So okay,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
good.
it's the Vegas one, like the California Classic and the Salt Lake City. Those are like the tune-ups for a few teams, but the Vegas one, that's where we're going to see. Rob Dillingham,
Yeah,
Reed Shepard, Alex Sarr, Risha Shar. I'm gonna get his last name right before the season starts. I promise you. Um, this is where we really see the rest of these rookies that people. I'm really excited to see Rob Dillingham and Terrence Shannon in Minnesota. Dilly could really. I think this is like his special. This is like summer league is for a guy like him.
yeah,
Like clear out. Let me get these handles, these moves off. Let me just go and just cook. I'm excited to see him and Reed Shepard get off. For me, the summer league is really. I want to see how the rookies adjust to sort of you're playing up a level. It's still a summer league, but you're still playing up a level, right? And so, how do you adjust to playing against guys who may have been in the league the last year, or some of these guys have been in the league for a few years, right? So they have that experience, they have the strength, they have that knowledge. And so, do you look overwhelmed? And so, when I see a McCain for the Sixers, he doesn't look overwhelmed. Like he plays at his own pace. He's a solid rookie, right? And he's only going to get better with experience. And so, and for guys that are back, like a Ricky Council, what have you worked on? Are you more confident? Are you taking on a leadership role? What skills can we say that you have worked on and that can be translated onto the court? And those are the things that I love to see come summer league. But you really can't take too much out of it, right? Because Steph Curry and Trae Young, they didn't have the best summer leagues, right? It's well noted they didn't have the best summer leagues. And now we see what happened with those guys' careers. But still going to be fun to see how these young guys look. Our really first time seeing them play in the pro setting. That all starts this weekend, so we got a lot to talk about with that. And also, our series continues next week. Next show, we're going to dive into the Northwest Division with the Thunder, the Nuggets, the Timberwolves, Jazz, and Trailblazers. But that's it for another episode of Marshall Time. Remember, Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify. Check us out on YouTube as well. We'll see y'all next week.
All right, peace out.